morning everyone, it is the 10th of May, so we are 10 days into the Asian Readathon and I have made fairly good progress so far. I've already finished 2 books, one that was on my actual TBR and one that I included as like a wildcard book. It's My Brother's Husband by Gengaro Tagame, which fit all 4 of the challenges, and the only one it didn't fit was read the group book because it's not a group book. But it is a manga, so it counts as a graphic novel. It was originally written in Japanese. It is by an author with an intersectional identity. He is gay and also Japanese, and had a queer character in it. It was amazing. I absolutely loved it. I think I gave it 4 stars just to leave some room for the next volume to be even better, but it was fantastic. So now I'm slowly making my way through my actual TBR, and I've already read my graphic novel for this readathon, and it was Legend of Korra Turf Wars Part 1, and the artist for that, Irene Ko, is Korean. So it was also really good. I gave it 4 stars halfway through reading. I remembered I actually haven't seen all of Legend of Korra, but I know about Korra and Asami, so that was fine. Gave it 4 stars, really liked it. I have also started reading the group book, which is 1,000 Beginnings and Endings. I've read 1 story from that so far, and that was really, really good. So I think I might sit down and read some more of that today. So I've read 2 stories in 1,000 Beginnings and Endings so far, and I have really, really loved both of them. I've just given them both 5 stars. The first one was by Roshani Chokshi. It is called Forbidden Fruit. But that was really good. I really enjoyed it. The next one is called Olivia's Table. It's by Alyssa Wong. This is a story based on the tradition of the Hungry Ghost Festival. It's where you prepare food and I think put on performances to satisfy ghosts that are around who haven't been able to move on yet, and by fulfilling these needs of theirs they will be able to move on. The protagonist of this story was a lesbian, which I really, really enjoyed, obviously, because I am also one. This one I think will be my favorite of the whole book. It just really spoke to me. Okay, so it's Sunday the 19th of May, and over the last week or so I have read 8 more stories from 1,000 Beginnings and Endings. I now only have 5 more to go. The story by Rahul Kanakya, which is a retelling of the Mahabharata, that was originally only going to be 3 stars, but in between each story, like at the end of each story, the author kind of does a little, sort of like an introduction page, except it's at the end, about the myth or legend that they chose to retell and what they changed about it and why they chose it, that kind of thing. And I've never read the Mahabharata, so I didn't recognize that story as being a retelling of it until I read the thing afterwards, and just the short synopsis that was given in that of the different sections of the Mahabharata that were represented in the story pulled it up from a 3 to a 4. So the stories I have left to read are by Melissa Dela Cruz, Elsie Chapman, Shweta Thakra, Cindy Pon and Julie Kagawa, and I will check back in when I have finished reading those. I am altering my TBR, which I seem to always do in the middle of a readathon. Originally my pick for read any book by any Asian author was going to be Shadow of the Fox by Julie Kagawa, and my pick for translated work was going to be the Rubaiyat of Irma Khayyam. But I don't think I'm going to get to Shadow of the Fox, given that I only have 11 days left of the month. So, and I don't know if I'll get to the Rubaiyat. I might or I might not. But if I don't, I can use the same book for both of those, and the book I am going to read instead of those is Final Fantasy VII On the Way to a Smile by Kazushige Nojima, which is a collection of short stories about several characters from the Final Fantasy VII franchise. It's fairly short and I really love the movie. I watched it when I was 15, and when you're going through your emo phase at 15, Cloud Strife is like the character of your dreams, you know, everything you could want while you're in the midst of that whole emo thing. Hello, it is Luce from the future. In the process of editing this vlog, I realized that I never filmed any kind of outro for the video, didn't ever wrap up this readathon properly. When I started editing this vlog the first time, back in 2019 after I made it, I decided that it was bad and that I wouldn't finish it, and I don't remember if maybe at the time I thought I would just do a regular wrap-up or if I would just not do it at all. But that was sort of the beginning of the, you know, time on my channel that I'm only just coming out of, where I would film things and then either abandon them during editing or not edit them at all, which is the reason why I have this BookTube backlist series anyway, because I have videos from 2 years ago that are fine, I just never put them up. So now I'm going to put them up because I have all this content and people haven't seen it. So in re-editing it, I've decided that the vlog is actually fine. There's nothing wrong with it. I just never actually finished it properly. I have noticed in one of the clips I refer to the stories that are retold here as like myths and legends, and I would just like to refer to them instead as tales, because it's not my place to decide if something from a culture that isn't mine is a legend or a myth. Like, I don't know anything, and the book does not actually say myths and legends, it just says tales from East and South Asian cultures. So please consider this a retraction. I said myths and legends, I take that back, they are tales. My favorite is still Alyssa Wong's, and that is the only story that has any kind of queer rep in it, although several of the authors in this collection are queer and their other works are queer. Anyway, I really liked this. I gave it 4 stars and I definitely recommend it. And then the other book that I was reading during that readathon, which I didn't get to talk about, was On the Way to a Smile, which is a Final Fantasy tie-in novel. I was actually talking to my co-worker Mike about this book, about how I hadn't played the game, but I'd seen the movie and I'd read this, and that it had answered a lot of my questions, but that I couldn't remember specifically now what questions they'd been. But I think it explained the disease of geostigma. The movie never really goes into that, it's just there and they don't explain it, and that's not present in the game. From my memory, this explained not only how it came about, but what it actually does to the body. Like, it looks like you just get these dark patches on your skin, but it can be fatal, I think. But the movie never really tells you that much information, but this book does, and it explained how Barrett, either how he came to adopt Marlene or how he got his mechanical arm, both of those big questions that I didn't know the answer to, and then they were in here. Anyway, if you have seen the movie but you haven't played the game and you just want a little bit of extra information about the world, this will give it to you. And as with the other one, I have been really wanting to reread it, especially since I've had this conversation with Mike, because it was really good at the time and I remember absolutely loving it and having all my questions answered, but now I can't remember what those questions were or what this book told me, so I'm back in the dark again. But if I reread it, all that information will come back. Yeah, so all in all, this readathon was really successful for me. This collection and the Legend of Korra comic that I read, which is called Turf Wars Volume 1, both got 4 stars. And then the remaining 2 books, which were this one and Volume 1 of My Brother's Husband by Gengoro Tagame, both got 5 stars from me. And I highly recommend everything that I read for this readathon because it was all fantastic, and I look forward to joining in again next year if it's on. Hopefully it will be. That is the end of this vlog. Thank you very much for watching. I hope you enjoyed it. If you have read any of these books, feel free to leave me a comment and let me know what you thought. If you don't really have anything to say but you just want to let me know that you are here, please leave a love heart in your favorite color in the comment box below and I will know that you watched to the end. And I'll see you on my next video. Bye everyone.